Welcome to Sports Center. I'm Ricky Hilburn, and today we're starting a new segment called Sociology in Sports, where we take a look at the sociological aspect of sports and the players who play them. We have our first guest with us, Mr. Dave Johnson. How's it going there, sir?
Very good, very good. It's a privilege to be here today.
We're very glad you can make it out here. Now, first off, let me read the stats from this amazing high school athletic man, just a man of the basketball court. Could not be stopped. Averaged 26.8 points a game, 9.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and even threw in about a block a game. Did this at a 2A school. How'd that feel? How'd that make you feel, just throwing up those crazy numbers?
It was fantastic, man. It just, I can think about it like it was yesterday. It was incredible. I really enjoyed playing ball.
All right. Now, first off, let me ask you this. Why do you think you did not make it into a college program? I mean, you were amazing in high school. How did you not get into a college basketball program?
Well, I came from a small school, and I was kind of one of those in-between kind of people that coaches, they talked to me, they expressed a little bit of interest and all, but when it came down to it, they just said they were looking for something else, something more. It was hard to accept, honestly.
All right, so let's start off with the high school aspect of you playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
First off, have you ever heard of the Looking Glass Self by Cooley?
No, I haven't.
Alright, this is where we take the sociological into you playing basketball. The Looking Glass Self is when you see yourself the way you believe other people see you. So it's basically you putting yourself in the shoes of others and looking at yourself. What was your Looking Glass Self like in high school?
Well, I could certainly identify with that because there's no other feeling like it, to be, the big man on campus, and people really did look up to me. I mean, I noticed that from teachers. I noticed that from, my fellow classmates and all. I was the man. And I knew that, and so that just bred even more confidence, in me, both on the court and off the court. So yeah, I can absolutely identify with that. They looked up to me, and it was kind of a great feeling too.
Oh yes. Now, have you ever heard of Mead's? He came up with the I and the me, and he came up with the self. It was the I and the me. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No, I'd have to say not.
All right. Well, then also, Professor Stephen O'Boyle, he came up with this thing called the zone, and he says where the I and the me fuse together.
Okay.
I know you've heard of the zone, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what was that like? How often did you get in the zone when you were playing basketball, and what was that like? When and where, and how?
It was never as often as you'd like to be in the zone. If it was something that you could create, if it was something that you could do, obviously you would go and replicate that every single time. I mean, I've had it happen in big games. I've had it happen in games that were, didn't really didn't matter much. Like I said, I don't know how, but when you're in it, you just know it. And it's like there's a feeling that comes over you that as an athlete, you just cannot describe. Everything that you throw up, your nose going in, everything is moving. I mean, it's like everybody else is kind of going in slow motion, and you just feel everything. There's just a flow to it, and you see everything before it's happening. And like I said, if you could replicate it, you certainly would, but they never came often enough.
Right. Now, the I and the me, the part of the zone he described was when they fuse together, and so there's not the thinking and the doing just simultaneously go together. Is that what you experienced?
That's a fantastic way to put it. I mean, you don't even think about it. I mean, you catch, you shoot, you pass. It all comes without the slightest bit of thought.
All right. Now, another sociological aspect that we play today is race. That's a big factor today. The black athlete versus the white athlete.
Right.
Okay. You being a white athlete, when you play basketball, what was the differences between when you played against a white male or when you played up against an African American male?
Well, we're talking about a long time ago, but I had skills then, believe it or not. and when I come up against, we played a lot of small schools, and we didn't play against many African American schools. With a lot of African American players, and so when I went up against white guys, I felt like there was nobody that could handle me. I was faster than the normal white guy. I could leap higher. I was tall for my age and all, and so I felt like they had no chance. The few times that we did go up against bigger schools or schools that had African American players, there was a noticeable difference. My confidence level, wasn't quite as high. I felt good in my abilities, but I knew that I was in for more of a battle. And so I really had to think more about my game rather than, just going out there on the court and just going through the motions. I really had to, concentrate, and I knew I was going to be in for a test.
You had to step your game up.
Absolutely.
So you personally believe, as many people do, that it comes more natural to black people that they have a more athletic ability for the most part than the white.
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, you look at pro sports today, and, you look at the NBA. And African Americans make up the bulk of it, and so I mean that's just the way it is. Yeah, they are very good. They're tall, they're fast, and they can play.
Oh yeah. So now let's take a look at beyond the high school, experience where you kind of just fell off. Not to put it negatively, but
well, that's true.
You went from the big man on campus to going to college.
Yes.
And this is what we call role disengagement. You went from being the basketball player, that was your role, your identity was the basketball player. And then you went to college, and then you were not. You were the regular person, you did not play college, you did not play any sports, you were just there for the classes. How did you handle that? How did you go throughout your life being disengaged from your role as the basketball player?
I probably still dealing with it. It was a very, very, very difficult time to be the big fish in a little pond. Going into being just another face in the crowd. It was a very difficult thing. I didn't have basketball. I didn't have that outlet. Sure, we'd go play pickup games and all, but as I said, you were a face in the crowd. I mean, you were just a student in a seat. Whereas in high school, the teachers all knew me. They all loved me. Here, I was just a number. And so, with other people, it was very difficult to come to grips with.
All right. So, being disengaged from your basketball identity, did you try to fill that hole with something? Did you look for an outlet? I mean, what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, well, originally I just tried to play some pickup ball, tried to play, but that didn't cut it. And the next thing I knew, I found myself, turning to more recreational drugs, alcohol, things of that nature, and just trying to, because it was hurtful. There was definitely a pain there, and so I guess I tried to mask that by I partied a lot. I drank a lot. My grades affected. Everything was affected, and so yeah, I'd say I turned to the drugs and alcohol.
Right. And so this is where we can truly see the role disengagement. How from the pro athletes to the high school athletes that don't make it in college to the college athletes that don't make it to pros,
right.
And then the pro athletes that got to decide when to retire. How hard and difficult the role disengagement can be. I mean, you go from being one person your whole life to where you train, you work, and you play, and that's all you do. That's your career. That's all you live for.
Absolutely.
Is that sport, and how hard it can be to just have to give that up. And now you try to turn to other things, and that's why we're taking a look at this sociological aspect.
Well, let me jump in real quick. I mean, people don't understand that even as a high school, even as 17, 18-year-old. I mean, that's all you've done. That's all. I mean, that's what people knew me. That's where my identity was simply in sports and all. And so when I didn't have that anymore, I'm still dealing with it. It's a very tough thing. I mean, people that aren't athletes or haven't ever had that, I don't know that they quite understand when that's all that you are. That's all you ever do.
Right. And I mean, we can truly see that. We can see your pain in this, and we're very sorry, what you had to go through.
Right.
But we cannot forget how wonderful of an athlete you were in high school.
Well, thank you.
You're one of the best. I mean,
I appreciate it.
Your stats speak for themselves. So we appreciate you coming on the show for our first segment. Very great guest to have on here. And
I enjoyed it very much.
Honored that you came here.
Thank you.
Now, next week on Sociology and Sports, we'll be taking a look at the role disengagement of one of the greatest collegiate athletes to never make it, Maurice Claret. Back to SportsCenter.